All right, here we go. Trying it again. Recording in progress. All right, everybody. This is take 2 of Welcome to Morsels, Muscles, and Mindsets, the podcast by 2 amazing, tremendous, awesome fitness professionals. We're going to help you folks iron out how you eat to fuel your workouts, and the mindset you need to excel at the former 2 by using the third one. I am Al Painter, co-host extraordinaire, Melissa Shevchenko, who, can I just tell you, has her hair is absolutely on point today. And can you tell the good people at home why that is?
Because 2 days ago, I went to my stylist and he styled it for me and I did not have to do it. And voila.
Oh, I love it. Getting haircut day is one of my favorite days of the month.
Oh, it's the best.
Right? Oh,
however, I have my haircut I usually get my haircut every 2 weeks.
Oh, right on.
It needs to be
schedule. You know, it's funny when I get my haircut, and I don't know what it is. They probably do it to keep you coming back. I can never replicate what is done to my hair sitting in the chair at home, ever.
No.
I could have flashcards, diagrams, PowerPoint, YouTube tutorial, the person who cut my hair on the phone, walking me through it on a Zoom call while they stand next to me, holding my hands, moving and the gel and the brush and everything else.
Yeah, oh. I know. I always say to my guy who does my hair, I can never do it. He says, Melissa, when you come in here, it looks just like I do it. And I'm like, no, it does not. It does not.
For those of you who are not watching, you are missing out on quite a cosmetological, is that what I'm working for?
Sure.
Yeah. Experience. Like, yeah, just shut up, Al. Let's move along here. So 2 of these people who are talking to you about fitness, at some point we were not in the fitness industry. We were doing other things and other stuff, and now we are. And Melissa, with that being said, what got you into it? Why do you stay into it? What's your favorite thing about it? Tell the good folks at home.
Okay, let me see. So I've always been into health and fitness in a way, in that, you know, I was always active. I was always interested in it, so to speak. In 2011, I decided to hire a trainer and I decided to compete. After I competed, I had horrible body image issues, horrible mindset, very bad relationship with food, with myself, etc. And so I decided to start digging into more of, but I loved working out, but I didn't really have a great relationship with exercise either. So I decided to kind of dig into more of, you know, why am I feeling this way? How can I improve these things? And how can I help other women improve these things too? So then I started to do some certifications and I started to dig into my own things. And basically, voila, here we are, me coaching other women through all of the, I guess I'll call it diet culture BS, to improve their relationship with food, improve their relationship with movement, improve their relationship with themselves, take their badass power back, as I say. That's nice. More or less how I came into it. My favorite part of coaching is probably more of the mindset stuff, helping people change their mindsets around, you know, less about that all or nothing or a number on the scale, and more about, you know, how can I improve? I want to just focus on improving how I feel, being active, moving, having a better relationship with food, having food freedom, being able to live my life, but still in balance with health and mind, I would say.
Nice. Yeah. There you go. Very cool. Very cool. Very cool. And
by competing, my friend,
when you say competing, what do you mean by competing? For folks who don't know.
I competed in a fitness competition where I, you know, trained hard to walk on stage in a bikini and flaunt my stuff for like 10 minutes. And then, I mean, I have done other kinds of competitions, but that's the one I'm talking about.
Okay. And from what I know, a couple of people who've done that, and oddly enough, both of them are in the fitness industry and both of them are PN certified, precision nutrition.
Yeah.
And they were telling me that afterwards, there are some physiological side effects, so to speak, that take place. What are those and why do they happen?
You know what? I think it depends on the individual. So I think that if I competed now, it would be a totally different experience with me just because I have a stronger mindset. I know, I understand all the concepts. I understand how the scale works. I understand why it fluctuates, all those things. Whereas back then, I was a beginner in the fitness industry, first of all. I had never competed. I had never really lifted a ton of weight or anything like that. And here I was going into all of these new things. I had come from a diet culture background where I was a yo-yo dieter and I did all of these. I had all these, I'll call them wonky for lack of a better word, mindsets and stuff. And after, my body image was worse because I had gotten so lean for the stage, but technically speaking, once you go back to even normal healthy eating or normal eating, you don't stay that lean. So I wasn't prepared for that. And then there's just for me also, I had a tremendous amount of health issues after. I was, there was just so much that went on post that it kind of gave me this, because when I went in, I thought, oh, this is going to be the way I'm going to live healthily for moving forward. So I really thought it was like a health thing, and it wasn't, which we all know now. I think we know that now, I know that now. And so there was a ton of struggle there. There was a ton of learning and unlearning to get to a clearer mindset and a better overall perspective on what health and wellness actually is versus what sometimes we think it is.
Nice. Yeah, when I was 21, I had 8-pack and I was in phenomenal shape. Of course, no kids. I could sleep 8-9 hours a day. Right. I mean, 21, what are your commitments for the most part? And then my schedule changed a little bit and I lost a little bit of that fitness. And it was a very similar thing, kind of like, wait a minute, now I have just a 6-pack. What's going on? But to get that, it was not worth it. I missed out on so many fun things with friends and going out to eat and everything else that looking back now, I was like, yeah, that just wasn't worth it. It wasn't worth it because it wasn't fun.
Yeah, when you try and go that hardcore, there's really no fun left in your life for you have no social life. You have no real freedom.
Right?
Yeah.
I remember Buddy and I went to a movie one night and there was a McDonald's nearby. And it had been about 9 months since I had a drop of alcohol and fast food for a 21-year-old in college, mind you. And we stopped. We like, dude, I have to go. We have to go. I got a 1/4 pounder with cheese, French fries, and a vanilla milkshake. And I thought I'd died and gone to heaven after the first bite. Oh my God, it was amazing.
Right?
I felt horrible physically the next day because of that. But that night I was on top. It was good.
Just for that moment, it was so good.
Right. But I lived to tell about it. And then, I exercised afterwards and life was all right.
Yeah.
And then as far as my boring backstory goes, that period of the 1/4 pounder with cheese was part of the transformation. I'd always played sports when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And then I played in high school, a 1.5 years in college. And so I was always pretty active. And then when I turned 21, the before Al 1.0, 21, got really out of shape because all he did was take advantage of, hey, my ID says I'm 21, which allows me privileges.
There we go.
And yeah, it was bad. We were playing basketball one night and it was a train wreck. I got super out of breath going up the stairs in our 2-story townhouse, annihilated me. I was, breathing heavy and everything else. Like, no, this is wrong. I do not want to live like this because I'm 21, I'm too young, and I used to be active. So I told my folks, like, hey, get me a trainer for a week for my birthday, and I'll take care of the rest. And they did that. And then that led to training people in college for a bit, getting out of it because my parents said, hey, you went to Santa Clara University. How about you cash in on the tuition that we paid for a little bit there? And then I got out of it for 6 years. And then in 2001, I got back into the fitness industry for good. And I'll never leave it because I love it. I love helping people. That's one of the best parts is just helping people do what they like to do better, having more energy during the day.
Exactly.
Helping them get rid of aches and pains when it's possible. They can have more fun. When somebody says, oh my God, I can keep up with my kids now.
Exactly.
And I have energy to spare. It's like, yeah, Right
Or
on.
when, for me, it's sometimes when somebody says, I went shopping today and I had such a fantastic time and I enjoyed trying on the clothes and just felt really good. Those things are also from my end perspective, from my end with women, especially, like those are big things. They're big accomplishments that just, yeah, you're making somebody else feel good about
That's
themselves.
when the people that I train actually like me. That's when I have utility in their lives. When they go shopping for clothes and the sizes are smaller, right? Then they like me. But the process to get there,
Oh yeah.
they don't like me at all.
Nobody likes any of us during the process.
Right? And I always tell people, look, have you ever made an omelet without breaking the eggs? And I say, me neither. Let's go.
Yeah. Too funny. Good one.
So with that being said, that there are some interesting thoughts around carbohydrates, and I know so many people, I can't have carbs because they'll do horrible things to my body and I'll just be a mess and yada yada. Why is that? How did that happen? Where are people missing the point, and why do we actually need carbs in our life?
You know what? I think that it comes from, well, I mean, there was Atkins. Now there's keto, or there was keto. Maybe there's likely still keto. And those diets that take away carbohydrates are extremely popular because they give quick results pretty much right away. You take away carbohydrates, you deplete carbohydrates, you take away basically the glycogen and water out of your body, and then all of a sudden there's a big swoosh and drop in the scale right away. Big one, pretty much a huge one. And I presume that's where the mentality comes from of carbohydrates are not good for us. We shouldn't eat them. They're keeping us fat or unhealthy. And unfortunately, it's a sad world, because I think that it's a sad mindset to have, because there's no fun.
Right?
No fun without carbohydrates. And I'm not just talking about like donuts and stuff, but even like good complex carbohydrates. I mean, things like oats and potato and sweet potato and yummy.
Right?
And carbohydrates are the body's preferred source of energy. Trying to go for a run or something like that, or any sort of activity without having carbohydrates in your body, and it's hard. It's not fun for the most part. I mean, I've done it. I've done the yo-yo, I did it way back in the day when it was still called Atkins and not keto, but every few years there's a new name on this thing, just like every other diet. And I also think that a lot of people don't truly understand, or don't want to believe that it's not actually carbohydrates or fats or protein. It's calories consumed, calories in versus calories out. And I mean, that's not the only thing that matters, of course, but if fat loss is dictated or whatever is dictated by by calories, then you should be able to have carbohydrates and still achieve your goals and still feel really fantastic. And we often also, I think, we don't think about when we're looking for quick answers to fat loss specifically. We don't ever think about sustainability. We don't ever think about long term. We only think, because I don't know about you, but I'm not going the rest of my days without a donut or without a potato or whatever. Right? So we don't think about, or a cookie or whatever it is that you like. We don't think about sustainability. And because we don't think about sustainability, the only thing we think of is, well, I'm going to get these results in this amount of time. But we never think about what's going to happen after, what the after effect is going to be. And there are a lot of side effects that come from depleting your body of carbohydrates for an extended period of time. Things like thyroid issues, even anxiety, like mental health issues. Obviously, energy is one, lower energy. I mean, like all of those things, when you deplete your body of carbohydrates for an extended period of time, there's a tremendous amount of, even hormonally as a woman specifically, that has a big impact on our overall health that we don't often consider, because we don't consider, nor do we really know, because again, we're thinking about, I can get these results in this amount of time, and that's all I'm really after.
I remember when I was playing ultimate frisbee 3 to 4 days a week in the before times, a long time ago, and I decided, I'm going to go all in on high protein, low carb diet. Yeah, that was such a horrible idea. I didn't bonk, but my energy levels dropped significantly and it felt like my legs were filled with cement.
You
And
know,
then
go ahead.
instantly, when I put the carbohydrates back into my diet, the next week when I played, I was fine and I could do everything that I was able to do beforehand. It was such a bad example, but a good learning experience of that striking that right, the correct balance for what goes in the body.
I please don't, anybody listening, please do not do this. But before I was ever in this industry, I ran a half marathon in 2008. We'll say that was then around there. When I decided to run a half marathon, I also decided to do the Atkins diet at the same time.
Oh,
Terrible. I mean, I did really well in the half marathon, don't get me wrong, but terrible idea because I trained the whole time on basically no carbohydrates or very little carbohydrates. Brutal. Don't do that. Anybody listening, please.
wow. So
Yeah.
in regards to carbohydrates, how much is a lack of sleep affecting carbohydrate cravings? What is it about not having sleep that makes people crave the carbs? And then maybe that kind of feeds into why carbs are seen as the devil.
Well, that's true. I guess I never really thought of it like that because when you're sleep deprived, when you're stressed, all of those things, majority of the time you tend to crave carbohydrates or sugary, I would say less than healthy carbohydrates mostly, right? And it has to do with the hormones that control hunger and cravings. It's like when you have less sleep, your hunger and craving your hunger hormones go up, or they go kind of all out. So the one that's kind of telling you you're really, really tired is now fighting with your hunger hormone. I mean, don't quote me exactly on this, but I think I'm explaining it right. And you constantly crave sugary carbohydrates for the most part. And maybe you're right. Maybe that's why people think of them and are scared of them, because it's typically what we crave when we, either lack of sleep or we're in high stress environments or whatever. But it's also, I think, a thing of these things are comforting. They provide like a stimulant or something that gives us comfort in times of lack of sleep or stress or emotions or whatever it is the case.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. That it's such a topic that could be drilled down into for hours and hours and hours on end, which would entail me asking you more questions and subjecting people to the sound of my voice even more. So we're gonna move along a little bit here. So the takeaway, people, carbs are not the devil. Your body needs carbohydrates. Melissa can give you loads more information on that, and we'll have her contact information in the show notes. So you can reach out and ask her all of your questions about that. And in a really randomly odd, probably terrible segue, it kind of gets into the muscles portion of today, because I was cooking dinner the other night, which had some carbohydrates in it. Boom, there it is. There's our segue. And I hadn't worked out yet, and I got all kinds of pouty pants because I hadn't worked out yet. And it was the end of the day. I just horribly mismanaged my schedule. And I am
pouty if I have to do a workout in the evening. It is.
Oh, right? Dude,
Yeah.
it's the worst, man. I was so just angsty, not in my usual sarcastically congenial, bubbly self. And I thought, okay. If somebody you would train said, look, I blew my schedule today. I've got 15 minutes while I'm making dinner. That's all I have. What do you got for me there, Professor PE?
Yeah.
I would tell them, you need to do the kitchen workout. So what I did was I grabbed this thing, the ab wheel, which everybody's parents had one when we were growing up. We thought it was a toy. To them, it was a collector's item, not to be used, so it could just gather dust. But we all had them. Yeah. And I got my sandbag. It was in the backyard, which is great because we had loads of trees and whatnot. So what I did, my office is on the other side of the kitchen. The backyard is on the other side of the kitchen-ish. more or less. We'll go with that. So what I did, came in here, 5 ab wheel rollouts, went outside, and I did sandbag deadlifts. And then I came back in here, checked the dinner, make sure it was on schedule and on point, and then ab wheel rollout, sandbag deadlifts. And I just went back and forth for 3 sets. And then when I was done with the deadlifts and the rollout, I did some sandbag kind of lateral lunges just to kind of get the outer hip muscles working. And I did that on, let's see here, today's Friday. I did it on Tuesday, and I haven't used the ab wheel in so long. My abs are still letting me know.
I
Either
use one.
A, never do that again.
Yeah.
Or B, if you're gonna do it, how about you be a little more consistent?
Yeah, I did my ab wheel for the first time in a long time last week. And oh my God, I think 3 days. I was sore. 3 days.
Oh my God, it's terrible. Absolutely terrible. And you know the worst part about this is, remember at the end of Return of the Jedi, when they blew up the Death Star and there was like that interstellar celebration of just extreme happiness and people yelling and screaming, "Yay, Emperor's dead." It is like that when I'm sore. People do not care. They don't care. They're just like, "Oh, good. You're sore. Too bad. Here's my little itty bitty violin." And it saddens me deeply because all I want to do is help you people. That's all I want to do. Sometimes muscles work and things happen the next day. I'm just trying to help. And when I'm sore, the way that people revel in it,
I know, I get the same.
It's terrible.
It's terrible. Can I point out 2 things? One, I love how you use Return of the Jedi. I did not know we had this in common. I love Star Wars.
Oh, yay!
And 2, I'm going to congratulate you on the workout. Not only did you set yourself up for success there, but you went from one room to the other, to the kitchen, to the outside. So you got some extra like cardio mixed in there too.
Yes. Well, I find that when I work out at home, if I'm in the backyard outside, then I'm pretty good. When I'm inside the house, it is so much harder to focus. But if I set up, like there was a day where I had kettlebell in my office, suspension straps upstairs, and then I had bands attached to the banister in between the floors. So I'd come downstairs, bang out some goblet squats, go upstairs, I would do some rows with the suspension straps, and I'd come back down on the bands and I would do some pressing because I have to mix it up like that. I can't stay in one room inside the house and exercise. For me, that's difficult. My scorching case of ADHD to the pi power just does not allow me to do that. But if I go outside, I'm good. No problem.
That's awesome. Good for you.
It's how my brain works.
And tell the folks that 15 minutes how did it feel?
Emotionally or physically?
Both.
Or emotionally as a result of the physically. With the exception of the ab wheel destroying my soul and my abdomen for a few days, I felt good. I felt a lot better. My head was a little more clear. I felt like I had taken some control back of my day and that I didn't thoroughly crush everything that had happened from sunrise to the next sunset because my schedule got out of whack. I think the biggest takeaway was I allowed myself to be human and just have a day because my father always told me you can't have good ab bats without some bad ones to help you make the adjustments to have good ones again. So on Thursday, I was back on top of my schedule yesterday, and I got in a great walk with Lily for about 30 minutes. And we have these pathways around our house that are just covered in fall color. Mm-hmm. And they have creeks coming through them and there are little ducks and everything. And it was awesome. Well, I got to hang out with Lily, so it was great. So I'm now back on top of my schedule and realize, okay, that was a blip. That's all. It's just a blip. And it's okay. It's okay to have the blip. Now, had I taken an off day altogether, probably wouldn't have been a bad idea, just because I am terrible at rest days. I can tell other people to rest, but when I rest, it's just like, it's like 1,000 cats who had just been given a big hit of catnip and you put them in a room with nothing but scratching posts. My brain just like, you need to move. I get a little squirrely. I don't like resting. So I'll go for a walk. I'll just do something, but it was a blip, got over it. and did practical things. I did simple movements that compounded. Simple is great. I didn't have to have an hour slog and lay down on the ground in my own puddle of sweat, completely destroyed because I just crushed my Sash Fit Fam, all that nonsense. It was just some basic stuff. It was, well, I can't do this because I don't have an hour. I flipped it to, okay, here's the deal. You've got 15 minutes. What can you do? And once I reframed it and I got into the what can I do, it made it a lot easier to do the thing. And then, like you said, I felt better afterwards.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at. I just wanted to see how you were feeling.
See, people, Melissa is my now, she doesn't know this, but if she didn't know this before, she is now. My route to reality when we're doing this here, she's going to keep me connected to Earth mentally. So you people are going to love having her around. She will be the adult in the room on a regular basis. So when you have the folks that you train and they say, hey, Melissa, I got 15 minutes today. What should I do? How do you coach them through that physically, right? To tell them what to do. And then the mindset around that so they can get through it and feel successful afterwards.
I think that it's about teaching people that if they set a promise to themselves or if they set a standard for themselves, that they should show up as best as they can in the moment. So if that only leaves you 15 minutes, then we just give you a solid 15-minute workout and you crush that 15-minute workout. If it's in your kitchen while you're cooking supper, then that's fine. But I also think that it's also reminding people that, if you're consistently working out 3 to 4 times a week and you need to shift your schedule because things got wonky, like, like life, because that's what life happens, that's also okay. Just because you set your workout on I think you said that was on a Wednesday and your schedule got away from you and now you only have 15 minutes. Yeah, if you want to show up for that 15 minutes and you want to crush it and you want, a body weight workout for your kitchen or whatever, by all means, let's do that. But if you need to move it to the next day and you can still get your 3 to 4 workouts in for the week, then that's totally okay too. So I think it's about finding the grace to be okay with needing to move things around sometimes because life, but also the understanding that showing up for yourself based on the promises you make for yourself at the start of the week as to what you're going to do to get you closer to your goals is also important.
Nice. And that plays in well to what's coming up in the next 8 weeks and holidays. And if you got the kids, the school events, and maybe some office parties and everything else that goes along into 8 weeks of a festive season. And by the way, I found where my wife hid the Halloween candy. Hopefully there'll be some for the kids on October 31st. She got the good bag of the Hershey's minis.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's going to take a lot of discipline to not hit that thing. At any rate, the holidays are coming. How can people view an incredibly busy time of year and weigh that against, let's call it a positive outlook towards being realistic and remaining consistent, knowing that, okay, look, you're going to be ingesting a couple extra calories here and there, some tasty carbohydrates, as it were, and that's okay. So when people ask you, hey, Melissa, how do I stay consistent during the holidays without losing my mind? Where do you start? Where do you lead them? What do you have them focus on?
You know what? I have everybody set realistic goals first and foremost. So what I mean by that is oftentimes we set our goals on an ideal world, oh, I can do this, or I can show up for 4 workouts a week, or I'm not going to have any cookies, or, really in ideal, perfect situations, this is what I'm going to do. So I help my clients navigate setting realistic goals in terms of, let's just, like, I'm traveling for whatever. Probably you're not going to show up for 4 workouts a week. Come on, let's be real. So we set realistic goals. That might only be, depending on the client, depending on the situation, showing up for a certain number of steps per day, or just making activity part of your normal natural day. Or for some people, it might be setting body weight workouts that only require 10 to 15 minutes a couple times a week, or whatever the case may be. It depends on the person. It depends on the individual. And then from there, I like to coach. I mean, the majority of my coaching deals with changing mentalities from like all or nothing to something over nothing, which we've already talked about a few times in these podcasts already. So that they think of things in terms of, you know, what I do the most of the time matters way more than what only happens some of the time. The holidays are like one blip in the year, as opposed to like, what do you do with all the other days of the year? Are you consistent the majority of the other days of the year? And being so that some of the time you still don't have to be perfect, just like you don't have to be perfect the rest of the year. It's being mindfully intentional and being okay with enjoying your family, having some extra fun foods in there, just being mindfully intentional so that you maybe don't completely revert back to all your old habits. You keep some mindful intention there, and technically that's about what I do for coaching. Around the coaching that I do for coming up to the holidays is mostly around mindset, because what happens to majority of the people that I coach is they get into the mindset of, I can't do everything, so I'm not doing anything, or there's so many events and things going on that they feel like they're kind of out of sorts through the whole thing, and then they kind of drop everything. That makes sense?
Yes. So it sounds like you're a
ahead.
proponent of don't add physical stress to mental stress, because then you get big old ball of zero.
Mhm.
That sound about right?
That's exactly right. Thank you for
Okay.
breaking it down.
Yeah, that's the kind of genius you're working with here, Melissa. Again, Melissa, the adult in the room, please take over. It's funny because it's so simple of a thing to do, to just pull the reins back, that it's hard.
Yes, exactly.
Right. So
Yeah.
it could be something to the effect of, if you're lucky enough to be able to leave equipment mounted somewhere in your yard, or a room dedicated to exercise, ideally a room dedicated. If not, that's okay. Go and do 5 reps of something.
Exactly.
5 single leg squats each side. Go take off for an hour, come back, do 5 more. Take off for an hour, do your thing, come back, do 5 more. And then, as the day goes on, maybe change those single leg squats into the best version of push-ups for you. Hands elevated, or whatever you like to do in regards to push-ups, or, do a push-up position plank, count to 20, get up, go do something else. And count by 1001, people. Don't count by tens, honestly. And then walk. I think that if walking is a staple of a holiday fitness program, there are a couple benefits, well, loads of benefits, but one is you're getting outside and you're getting that nice cool air in your face, and you're just getting outdoors. And if you're lucky enough to live somewhere where maybe there's loads of decorations you can check out and things of that nature, that's a lot of fun.
Yep.
So you're getting a whole bunch of stuff, and maybe go for a 10-minute walk, and you come in and, I don't know, you can push up position plank or something, but just move. It doesn't have to be this epic workout. Just allow yourself movement long enough to feel some mental clarity. And then once that point kicks in, then go about your day and get back into busy. Just make sure that you're taking some self-care timeouts to enable yourself to get ramped up with stress, but then you've got something really good to get out of that stress.
That's a really good point, because walking especially is really, really good because anxiety levels and stress is usually high that time of year. And that's really, really good for your overall mental health.
Yes. And if you're lucky enough to have kids, and you're lucky enough you're walking around and it's snowing, inevitably you will then turn the walk into an agility-based HIIT workout as you play snowball tag, shall we say, with your kids, which, it's never a bad thing.
No, absolutely.
Now, one of my favorite memories from last holiday season was my mom was up here. I think it was Christmas time. And she and Jeremy were in the front yard having a snowball fight. Oh, it was the best, because my mother's got a lightning bolt for her right shoulder. So she played softball for a very long time. And I don't think her grandson counted on that.
That's awesome.
Yes. All right, people. So let's take it back all the way. Morsels, carbs are not the devil. You need them for basic cellular function. If your schedule gets away from you, you can train your muscles smartly, smartly. Is that a word? Right now it's a word.
We'll go
You
with
can
it.
train efficiently. Boom, there it is. And just pick one or two things and just do no more than 10 reps of those one or two things just to get that sense of accomplishment. More importantly, get your blood moving and your brain cleared out. And then taking it back to the mindset. Again, holidays are coming up. Be real. Give yourself a break. Learn how to spell self-care. Write it on a mirror somewhere. Put it in your car with a sticky note or whatever, and just allow yourself to exhale after every inhale repeatedly. How's that sound?
That sounds perfect.
What else do you have to add for the good folks listening to us?
Nada.
There it is, people. As existential as it was informative, nah. I thought you didn't know Spanish. All right. This is the official first of many Morsels, Muscles, and Mindset podcasts. Look for it in a podcast hosting thing of a technological nature near you. I am a painter. This is Melissa Shevchenko. We're going to help you have more fun being awake. Until next time, thank you very much for listening. Like, subscribe, share, send carrier pigeon notes telling people that the Pony Express, we don't care. Let other people know so they can laugh and learn too. Have an awesome day, people.
Have a great day.
Yes, stop recording.